Hey, sweet friends, welcome back to Living with Fibro and PSA, Felicia and Frankie's Way. Come on in for just a moment. The holidays, gosh, they're creeping up on us. And of course, with those, that comes a lot of noise and a lot of expectations, lots of pressure to show up like everything's just great and fine. When you're living with chronic illnesses, that kind of season hits a little harder. So today we're opening the door to the conversations people don't always see. What life looks like with Felicia and Frankie behind the scenes, and why being honest about it isn't completely complaining, it's surviving. Hey, friends, come on in. Let's sit a minute. Holidays, they're sneaking up. Lights, parties, expectations. Everyone's buzzing around like it's all magic and perfect. But we know better, right? Don't we? I mean, Felicia and Frankie don't care about schedules or celebrations. They show up loud, messy, relentless, and somehow still expect you to keep going like nothing's wrong. Spoiler alert, it's never like nothing's wrong. So today, we're not rushing, we're not pretending, and we sure as heck aren't fixing anything. This is just us, real talk, no filters, like friends, leaning in saying it's okay if your body isn't cooperating. It's okay if the pain is loud. And it's okay if you're not okay. It's okay to be exhausted. Being heard, that matters more than any party, any checklist, any bright, shiny holiday expectations. And friends, I got to be honest with you. I've been kind of away for a bit. Life has hit pretty hard lately. My body's been not doing so good on times. And, we've had issues with our internet and, my husband's getting ready to have major back surgery. So we've been running back and forth to doctors and getting all, pre-op stuff done. So he's having surgery on New Year's Eve. Ugh. Guess it's a great way for him to bring in the New Year's, though. It's what I'm going to look at it as. Anyway, and of course, I had a major devastating loss of a good friend of mine, a very dear friend, Angie, who she lost her battle with cancer. Um, it's hard sometimes. She was only 56. So close to the holidays with her family and her boys, grandbabies. So her husband, so if you're the praying kind, please lift her family up. Grief has a way of stealing your breath away. And lately, it's done exactly that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience and your grace, for staying even when I've been absent. And I'm excited to be here. And I'm so excited that you guys are all here with me too. Hey, all, disclaimer. Just a quick check in before we jump in. Everything I share here comes from my own personal experiences with chronic illnesses, POTS, fibromyalgia, and psoriatic arthritis, aka I lovingly call them Felicia and Frankie, my very uninvited long term guest. I'm not a doctor, nurse, or a medical wizard, just a woman walking this road telling it like it is. Nothing I share is meant to replace medical advice, so please always talk with your healthcare provider before changing anything with your treatments, medications, or care plan. This space is about community, it's about real talk, faith, laughter when we can manage it, and tears when we need it. And knowing that you're not walking this alone. I'm just here sharing my journey, the messy, the meaningful, and everything in between. Why do these conversations matter more than people realize? Let's talk about why we even have these conversations like this, because on the surface it might look like we're just venting or rehashing the same struggles, but this is kind of like survival. Chronic illness, it shrinks your world if you let it stay silent too long. And when no one talks about it, honestly, like isolation, it creeps in. Then sets in the shame. It sets up camp, and suddenly you feel like you're feeling it the whole life. This whole life that you didn't even choose. Living with chronic illness isn't about managing symptoms, it's about constantly adjusting expectations. It's waking up and not knowing which version of your body you're going to get today, grieving your plans you haven't even made yet. It's learning to measure success completely different than what we normally would. Getting out of bed, taking a shower, showing up for 5 minutes versus 50. People only see the moments that we manage to be present for, to show them. They don't see the prep work that goes behind the scenes, the resting beforehand, the pain management's time, the pain meds time just right, the mental pep talks, the calculations of what tomorrow is going to look like if I push today. They don't see the recovery days afterwards when the adrenaline wears off and reality sets back in. These conversations, they matter because they remind us that we're not lazy, we're not broken or being dramatic. They give language to an experience we've been carrying quietly for too long. They help us to be able to stop apologizing for our limits and start honoring them instead. And maybe most importantly, they just let us sit in the truth together without fixing, without judging, without pretending that everything's fine. This space is so that nobody has to feel like they're doing this alone, because being understood doesn't cure chronic illness, but let me tell you, it sure does make it easier to breathe while you're living with it. Living with Felicia, fibromyalgia, what people don't see. So let's really sit with Felicia for a minute, because fibromyalgia is one of the most misunderstood, misdiagnosed, minimalized, and brushed off conditions out there. Felicia isn't just pain. She's a full body, full life experience, one that you'll never forget and one you'll never want again. Fibro is a central nervous system disorder, which means your brain and nerves are constantly misfiring. They're not communicating, they're just a hot mess. So imagine that your pain volume, there's a knob and it's stuck on high. Even though there's no injury, there's not any swelling, there's no rhyme or reason for it to be stuck on high. It is. And that pain is unfathomable at times. It is so real. It's just awful. Even when it doesn't show up on like paper, like the doctors say, that pain is real. It's just, you just don't ever forget that pain. Felicia doesn't need a bruise or a scan or a reason. She just shows up. She taps on the mic and she announces herself everywhere all at once, like bippity boppity boopity, widespread, unpredictable, muscle ache, burn, throb, buzzing, and sometimes, gosh, I have this a lot. Sometimes it feels like you're vibrating from the inside out. There's no single spot to rub because the pain, it's not in the muscle. It's in the misfiring signals. So that's why massages sometimes help, and then sometimes they make everything worse. Because let's be real, Felicia, she likes to play games, and she loves to play the game of confusion. Fibro also messes with how your brain processes pain, how it processes touch and temperature, sounds, and stress. Things that shouldn't hurt immensely. Things that shouldn't exhaust you annihilate you. They wipe you out. Your nervous system stays stuck in fight or flight mode, which means that your body never truly rests, even when you're laying still, even when you're trying to sleep. Sleep? Yeah. Not restorative. Exhaustion? Bone deep. Soul deep. I might as well be a zombie deep. And the fatigue. Oh, yeah, the fatigue. It isn't the normal tiredness. It's waking up exhausted, going to bed exhausted, and somehow still not sleeping. Painsomnia becomes a nightly ritual, flipping you around like a rotisserie chicken all night long. You're negotiating with your pillows and you're begging God for just one solid hour of good sleep. Then there's the fibro fog. Words vanish mid sentence. You forget why you walked into the room. Your brain feels like it's buffering on bad Wi Fi or bad Wi Fi. People laugh it off, but when it's your own brain, it's scary. The fog isn't just forgetfulness, it's losing confidence in your own mind. And Felicia doesn't travel alone. She brings friends. She brings her entourage of, migraine and IBS, TMJ, restless legs, anxiety, depression, temperature intolerances, which is one of my favorites, sensory overload, and guess what? It's all rolled up into one exhausting little package. Light hurts, sound hurts, touch hurts, the cold hurts, heat hurts, and stress. Yeah, stress is the gasoline that goes on that fire. It just makes everything 10 times worse. And then, yeah, I feel like Billy Mays. And then there's more. And then there's the diagnosis process, which can break you all by itself. Years of being poked and prodded on, scans, tests, labs, being told that everything looks good on paper. You literally start questioning yourself. Am I being dramatic? Am I being lazy? Is this all in my head? Spoiler alert, it's not. It's your nervous system, and that distinction matters. The hardest part of living with Felicia is proving that you're sick, even when you're already feeling like you're drowning. Living in pain that nobody can see. Being told that you look fine when secretly you're running a full Olympic triathlon just to show up, just to be there. Fibro teaches you how to isolate, how invisible illnesses, yeah, they can isolate you away from people, and how strong you have to be to just keep going. Living with Frankie, psoriatic arthritis, the visible and invisible damage that it causes, because Frankie himself, he's a different beast. While Felicia's living in the nerves, Frankie goes straight for the joints, straight for the tendons, ligaments, skin, and bone. He's not, and he is an autoimmune, which means your body is mistaking itself for the enemy. Your body is the bad guy. And Frankie, he's over there shooting. He's just boo, 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 pew, pew. Friendly fire. No ceasefire in sight. Frankie brings joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and inflammation that can lead to permanent damage if left unchecked. Yeah, I have 20 years. Yikes. Fingers and toes puff up into painful little sausages. Joints get hot and red and furious. Morning stiffness, it can last hours, not just minutes. Sitting too long hurts. Standing too long hurts. Moving hurts. But not moving, even worse. And then there's the psoriasis, thick, scaly, patchy, itchy, cracky, bleeding, yucky, burning. Yeah, they're nasty. Oh, and they're everywhere. It gets all over your bedding and your clothing, and you can't get rid of it. Nails go rogue, pitted, brittle, discolored. Sometimes they even lift off. And it's not just cosmetic, it's painful, emotionally, heavy, and loud. Frankie doesn't care if you're embarrassed. He shows up like he owns the place. Frankie loves inflammation. He loves inflammation where tendons and ligaments attach to the bone. He targets like heels and feet, ribs, elbows, shoulders. Rib pain can mimic heart trouble or lung issues. I am going through this right now. It is horrific. Spine, yeah, it's always involved. Simple movements turn into full-on obstacle courses. But Frankie doesn't stop there. He brings also his entourage of fatigue and eye inflammation, bowel issues, muscle weakness, flare cycles that can last days, weeks, or months. He's a full-service chaos machine. Labs don't even play fair either because many people look normal on paper while Frankie's quietly doing demolition work inside. Trust me, been there. And then you have when Felicia and Frankie team up, the double whammy that nobody prepares you for. When they team up, it's not just a flare, it is a full blown hostile mutiny. It is a takeover of your body. Nobody prepares you for this. People talk about fibro, they talk about psoriatic arthritis, but nobody talks about what happens when they collide, when they overlap, when they amplify each other. You know, Felicia's in the nervous system. She cranks volume up all the way. Frankie, he's in the joints and the connective tissue, bringing inflammation and swelling, stiffness and damage. And together, Felicia makes every inflammation signal she can louder and sharper and more impossible to absolutely ignore. And Frankie hands her more ammo. Like, it is a vicious, nasty cycle. A normal ache becomes a full body misery. One swollen joint doesn't stay local because then Felicia spreads that pain like wildfire. So an angry knee can ignite burning hips, an achy back, throbbing ribs, and nerve pain in incompletely unrelated spots. And you're wondering, why does my shoulder hurt when my foot was the one with the issue? Yeah, welcome to crossover episode that nobody asked for. Sleep becomes collateral damage. Frankie hurts when you move. Felicia hurts when you don't. Staying still, rolling over, lying down, nothing's safe. And painsomnia becomes normal. You wake up absolutely exhausted. You're already behind. You're already paying interest on energy that you don't even have. And mobility? Psh, yeah. Every move is a negotiation. Frankie stiffens every joint and inflames those tendons. And then Felicia, she pushes and punishes your nervous system for even thinking or even trying it. You hesitate to stand. You calculate before you walk. You brace just changing positions. Movement becomes a constant risk assessment. If I do this now, what's it going to cost me later? Pacing isn't preference, it is absolute survival. You don't choose what you want to do, you choose what you can do. One errand might mean 3 days of recovery. One good day means usually a week of being crashed out. And sometimes you do everything right and you still flare. Felicia and Frankie don't play by the rules. Cognitively, this is a brutal combination. Fibro, fog, it thickens under pain and poor sleep. Concentration sleeps, memory falters, emotions bubble closer to the surface. You're not just managing pain, you're managing frustration, grief, irritability, and fear, all while trying to look fine. Emotionally, this is where people break without support. Guilt hits, canceling plans constantly, resting all the time, needing help, not being able to be who you used to be at one point in time. Then you've got self-doubt that creeps in. Am I being lazy? Gosh, I feel lazy. Dramatic. I don't feel like I'm being dramatic, but oh my gosh, the pain. I'm failing miserably. This is not what I envisioned for myself. Meanwhile, your body, it's still fighting a war every single day. You're still fighting a mental war. Isolation, it sneaks in too because you're fighting all of this. The world shrinks for you and you retreat, not because you want to, because you have to. You have to. Invitations, they stop coming in. Explanations, golly, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to explain things to people constantly. And you're left fighting pain and being alone. Here's the truth. Surviving this combo takes strength. Most people, they don't have it. It takes forever to grow and get it, and it takes forever for humor and faith and adaptability and insane self-awareness while you're going through this. It takes time. I don't want to say you can't develop it, because you do develop it, is what I should say. It just takes time, because it's taken me 5 years to finally be at this stage of where I am. And I struggle every single day. There's days that I'm over here constantly messing up, or one sick little germ made its way in and I'm down for 2 weeks with a sickness. Down with the sickness. It's time that we do things differently. We all have to do and listen to our bodies, even when it screams chaos. You learn that rest is strategy, not weakness. Sometimes just surviving the day is a victory. Felicia and Frankie, they may run loud and they don't get the final say, but we're still here. We are here. We're still adjusting. We're probably always going to be adjusting. That's our new norm. Still figuring how to live in a body that refuses to cooperate, and doing it with as much grace and honesty and fight as we can muster. Feel free to Pillpalooza, life on the Hot Mess Express. Let's talk about the roller coaster that life has been for 5 years with Felicia and Frankie. I went from managing pain naturally, sometimes even completely pill-free. Oh, I had none when I started this journey 5 years ago. Shoo! Navigating a full-blown mix of medications, infusions, injections, and supplements. Back then, Felicia would flare without warning, forcing me to guess whether the day would be gentle or a full-on sabotage mission. Then Frankie jumps in with joint pain and skin flares, and turns every treatment decision into a high-stake gamble. I tried the natural route. I tried stretching and meditations and baths and hemp lotions and hydro massages, vitamins, gummies, CBDs, essential oils, heat, ice, special diets that promised miracles. Yeah. Some of it helped. If I was rich, it would probably be better, I guess. But unfortunately, I'm not. None of it made Felicia or Frankie pack their bags. I had to think I don't know. I thought I had things under control, only to wake up the next morning with muscles screaming and joints protesting like they had personal grudges. And that's when I learned this life requires persistence and flexibility and a whole lot of trial and error. The medications side came slowly. Infusions, injections, pills that promised relief but came with so many side effects. These days, I take 10 pills every single night. I take 18 once a week. And then I take 4 throughout the day. And you know what? That's a lot. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Felicia and Frankie don't follow the rules. Neither do we, though. What matters is balancing, listening to our body, choosing what actually improves my quality of life, your quality of life. Not what looks good on paper. And here's the real part. This life is messy. It's the Hot Mess Express with Felicia and Frankie as the conductors. One day things are manageable. The next everything derails. There's constant planning, anticipation, fatigue, scheduling around flares, juggling appointments, family, and responsibilities. It's freaking exhausting mentally, physically, and emotionally. But woven through all that chaos are the moments that save me. The laughter of my grandkids. My grandbabies are everything. A quiet moment with my husband. The victory of walking a little further than yesterday. Those are the moments that fuel me. They remind me that I'm still me, that I'm still living, that I'm still choosing to be a part of this journey and this fight, and choosing joy where I can find it. And faith, of course, has been my compass. Some days the battle isn't physical, it's spiritual. And faith reminds me that even when Felicia and Frankie feel loud and overwhelming, I still have a say in how I show up, how I come. It doesn't fix everything, but it gives me the strength and humor and the hope. And sometimes hope in small doses is more than enough. Pain meds, yeah. The whiplash of medical advice. Who do you trust? This is where the pressure really shows up. The unspoken rule that sick days are somehow optional, even when your body's waving a little white flag. Felicia doesn't announce herself, and Frankie could care less about calendars or commitments and carefully laid plans or who's coming to Christmas dinner. Every day becomes a choice. Rest, risk. Yeah, you take a rest and you risk falling behind, or you push through and you deal with the fallout later, which then for sure is going to put you further behind. And the mental weight of that choice is heavy. Oh my gosh, it's so heavy. It's hard to lay in that bed and not be able to go and look around you and say, I see 50 things that I need to be doing right now, and I can't do it. Here's the truth. I had to learn the hard way. Honoring my limits is not quitting. Saying no, adjusting plans, choosing rest that's not weakness, that's wisdom. And some days my bravest move is to take a nap. Take a soak in the bathtub, or just lay in the bed and stretch and relax. It's not laziness, it's strategy. It's how survival actually works with Felicia and Frankie. And here's the medical maze. One provider says, do more of this. The other one says, don't be doing that. You know, one plan contradicts the last, and meanwhile, your body's already overwhelmed. Your brain is on the fritz and frying, and Felicia's over here, just turning small movements into big pain. Frankie's reacting fast because even something a little slightly off, a little diet, a little meds, stress and activity. So I've learned to treat medical advice as guidance, not gospel. I listen to my body first. I ask questions loudly. I advocate for myself like it's my full-time job because, it is. Trust, intuition, lived experiences matter here. It's exhausting, yeah, but it's also how I gain more control, fewer flares, and more space to actually live. All right, friends, we've reached the wrap up. And before we rush past it, let's pause and acknowledge something important. We made it through a lot today. Life with Felicia and Frankie isn't quiet or orderly. It's loud, unpredictable, and demanding. And yet, here you are, still standing, still listening, still trying. That matters. Living with chronic illness isn't about managing pain or treatments. It's about pacing and listening and letting go of the guilt that tells us we should be able to do more. I struggle with that a lot. It's learning that the rest has value, that asking for help is strength, and that a productive day doesn't have to look like it used to. Sometimes getting through a day is an accomplishment. The emotional side is real too. The guilt, the frustration, the anxiety, the fear of being a burden. The weight is heavy and it's valid. But this is where connection changes everything. Sharing stories, laughing at the absurdity of all of it, being honest with people who truly get it. And that's how we take back pieces of our lives. Don't overlook the wins. They don't have to be big to be counted. A shower without crashing, a meal that you made, a short walk, a genuine laugh. Those are victories. Claim every single one of them and celebrate them. Because Felicia and Frankie, they don't get to erase those moments. They don't take that from us. And finally, faith, hope, and community. These are the anchors. Lean into God when the days feel long. Surround yourself with people who lift you instead of drain you. And above all, give yourself grace. Pain may be a part of the story, but it's not the author. So as we close, remember this is your pain. It's real. This is your fight. It matters. This is your resilience. It's undeniable. And Felicia and Frankie may make a lot of noise, but they don't define you. You do. You define yourself. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for showing up, for being a part of this community where life is welcomed and real, and keeping it as real as we can. Keep surviving, keep laughing, keep choosing grace, especially for yourself. And before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of Felicia and Frankie's Chaos and Triumphs. Philippians 4:13, I can do things through Christ who strengthened me. You guys have a great week.